Yeah, we've got another caller or another online question, actually. Our next caller says, I'm feeling good about being single right now, but what happens when the single honeymoon is over?
The single honeymoon. I
The
love it.
single honeymoon. So I'm wondering whether this person was the one to end the relationship or the one to be ended, sort of
I
suspecting.
don't think it matters.
Yeah, yeah.
I've just been through the
Mhm.
ending it, being the one to end it,
Yeah.
and there was a certain relief, and
Yeah.
then there was a, oh God, I'm out there again. I need to
Yeah,
do this
yeah, good
again,
point.
and as much as I felt kind of initially like, okay, like all the possibilities are wide open again, and without any obligation,
Mhm.
there was that sort of sinking feeling at a certain point of like, I really need to come to terms with, what's the next step going to look like? What's really
Yeah.
possible?
Well, I think this really tees up that balance that we've talked about before of kind of like dating is a playground. Dating is there's
Yes.
so much to learn. We go for being satisfied and enjoying our lives single, and holding that yearning for a relationship, for connection, to love and be loved that
Right.
I was talking about earlier. So it is the tension of holding those two things at the same time. Just because I want a relationship, I yearn for a relationship, doesn't mean I yearn to be loved or connected, doesn't mean that, something's wrong
Right.
if I'm single.
Right. So we talked a little bit about how the honeymoon phase, whether it's in a phase of single and loving it or in a relationship and loving it, ends. And we can say that with certainty. We look at the research of Daniel Gilbert, where he looks at lottery winners and paraplegics and asks the question, well, who do you think would be happier a year after their incident? Someone who'd lost physical functionality or someone who'd won a bunch of money from the lottery. And based on surveys, he basically said there was no discernible change in their level of happiness either a year or 18 months out. I don't have
Right.
command of those facts 100%, but I believe it. The phenomenon holds true to my experience.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Definitely. That that external change, either of being single again or being in a relationship again, doesn't produce a long-term change in happiness. And they say with even newlyweds, they go back to their premarital level of happiness within about 18 months. So we can presume that the same thing happens with singlehood. And I like what you're saying about holding the tension, because I do think for my own sort of journey with dating and my own kind of like spiritual commitment, it feels like I need to be okay with the idea of being single before I'm really in the right space for a relationship. And I don't want to make it sound so formulaic or
Yeah.
legalistic, like, oh, or secret like, as if nobody's going to come into my life so long as I'm
Right.
greedily grasping or feeling inadequate or something like that. But I feel
Right.
like there's some kind of basic truth of
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go about my dating differently if I feel like I'm okay, like I live a great life,
Yeah.
and anyone who wants to come and join me in it is a lucky man,
Yeah.
than if I feel like I gotta get married, like,
Yeah.
when's it coming? Come on.
Yeah, totally. And for me, I think it's a constant process of working on that sense of okayness and strength of,
Yeah.
who I am. And I think, to this question, it's like, the single honeymoon, it being sort of similar to the dating, the new relationship honeymoon. I'm always a little bit wary of the sort of flutters
Yeah,
and that kind of
absolutely.
feeling. And not that I think, not that I think they're bad either way, single or dating. But I know that how I feel around relationships does tend to phase, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I mean, to be able to sort of through all that be working on my strength of my core and my sense that I'm okay and my sense that I'm enjoying life is important for me.
Yeah. So the question was, what happens when the single honeymoon is
Yeah.
over? I think the answer is, hopefully you will know it's coming. Like
Yeah.
one reason that we study developmental models around here is so that when these, crises of one sort of magnitude or another in life happen, when you find yourself down in the dumps over not being with someone, you can kind of look at, oh, this is just what happens, So
Yeah.
we talk about the hedonic treadmill that Daniel Gilbert describes, where we just have that happiness set point, so that when it happens, I can go, wow, here I am back at my happiness set point, and not have to go, oh my God, I've like failed again. I thought this singlehood was so great. I deluded myself, or, it's, you're just a human being. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the thing to acknowledge, is that, is that this is normal, and to be in the question then of, what are my yearnings, what did I want, why did this single life feel so great at the beginning? Maybe it was that I had total freedom, maybe it was that I was having novelty and variety in the types of people I met, maybe it was in the types of things I went out and did, or ways I took care of myself. There's always something to learn from that moment that might feel like total crisis, but actually is totally common to us all, and a useful point from which you can learn and grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, isn't it that way with everything, in terms of career, all over the place. We're up and down. And this goes back to those 5 core emotions too. If we only value the up, then we're kind of setting ourselves up for a lot of saying, like, my life is just bad right now. How about having children? How about retirement? All the ways life goes up and down. So I think it's so important to be able to value all the aspects of the range of experience, and that's where we get to the existential principle of aliveness, and and what is it to really appreciate being alive and the feelings we have, without placing so much value, good or bad.